What's up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. The stock market's crazy and chaotic, and we got a great live stream today. We're reacting to Nvidia. I do have my boy Don coming. I went live on Don's channel hoping he was going to be here on time, but I should have known better. And I know that you guys who are over there on the Don Front Show probably know better as well, but he'll be here maybe. Nevertheless, what's going on, guys? For those of you watching on my channel, we are simulcasting here, but I see you streams, Ralph Vandenhook, Michael, what's up? Some familiar faces. Really appreciate you guys. Duke, big day indeed. Yeah, absolutely. What's going on, Mike Hudson? Miss you, man. We got to catch up for sure. But listen, yeah, Cody said Don's never on time. Oh man. So anyways, hey, there he is. What's up, man?
That's completely my bad.
that's all right. Hey, listen, your guys know you, so they understood. They understand the assignment when it comes to Don.
Good. That's what's important.
But what's up, man?
Whole lot of nothing. I mean, do 900 things at once per usual.
Yeah, well, you and me both. But getting on to today we have obviously Nvidia is going to be a big day for that. Also, if anybody cares, HP is reporting earnings today too. But man, it's been interesting in the overall markets today. We heard some housing news. Market responded a little bit negatively, but nothing too crazy. The Dow's down 0.2, S&P's down also 0.2, and Nasdaq's taking the biggest hit today. It's down over 0.6. So not really like a big deal. It's probably just a boring day, light volume, of course. No surprise there with Thanksgiving right around the corner. So the big move is going to be today. Going to be after hours when Nvidia reports. They are going to be reporting $3.39, or they're expected to report, $3.39, a $16.11 billion. Don, there isn't one downward revision on this stock going into these earnings. Does that make you a little nervous?
No. I will say I'm long Nvidia, but let me just say this: I'm gonna own a lot of it if it drops below 450, because I sold some 470 puts in 450, so sold both of those naked. So if it closes below that, I'm gonna get assigned, and I will have those shares put to me. But I don't know.
This move right here kind of makes me a bit nervous, if I'm honest.
Which move?
Just over the last 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, it's just been nothing but straight up for the most part. And it's kind of, anytime we see this, there's usually like this move to the downside. It's like there's a lot of hype leading up to. So like, I don't think anybody's expecting there to be a miss in earnings, but is it going to be as much as people are hoping it's going to be? Revenue expected to come in at 16.09 billion. It's 171% increase. So obviously the bar set high, and it's almost as if like the move's kind of already been made. So is this like more like a sell the news type of situation like it normally is, or does it just continue to skyrocket? And I think they're just going to have to really blow it out of the water for it to really continue to go up.
Gosh, if we were talking a $25 bet, I don't know how much I would put on this, but I kind of want to short it. There's no way I'd want to go. There's no way I would really actually want to short this with any real capital.
No.
It's just on fire, but
it's one of those things where, so let's just say this, right? Like you're somebody who isn't in Nvidia yet. Maybe you're feeling a little lucky. You want to take a gamble on something on Nvidia today. Do you just stay away, or do you just go along and kind of hope for the best?
It would really depend on my account size. And this is something I would really want to stress with people, because the people with smaller accounts tend to take what they can afford.
Yep.
And this would be one of those plays that's your only option is the high rollers table, like at a casino. Like you're gonna have to pay to play. Now, if you're rocking 6 or 7 figures, then going short, going long, you can take those plays and afford it. If it just goes through, I wouldn't want to just throw the money away. If I were thinking, the problem is, how do you short something like this?
Yeah.
Because you remember, like I went shorts Apple,
right.
And it went down, and then it recovered right back. And I can honestly see something like that happening with Nvidia. Is they do have a good earnings like expected. Maybe there's a buy the rumor, sell the news event, but then the buy the dip crowd just shows back up, which is why I went to go ahead and just sold the naked puts, which is a bullish play. All I needed to do is stay above 470 or above 450. It just needs to bounce and then recover by expiration.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of feeling there might be a short reaction. I don't know if it's enough that I would put any money on the line. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense because I mean, you look at it, and even if it's lower than expected from like whispers and that sort of thing, I think that all it's going to take is a conference call and to sway investors the other way again, and so I think it's just super risky. Obviously, it's always risky going into earnings anyway, but to go short on something like Nvidia, I think is just a suicide mission at this point. Um, just asked a couple people in the poll in the chat on my channel, what are you doing with Nvidia before earnings? I saw that Jeff Chow was asking about who actually bought it. 54% of people are saying they're not doing a damn thing with it. The 29% that said that they just bought more going into these earnings. So few of you said sold it all, and a very, very tiny amount of you said that you plan to buy after, which is interesting. I would think that there'd be more people than 3% that say they're going to buy afterwards, because that's actually what I was thinking about doing, is just waiting this out to see what the reaction was going to be. Could I be missing out on a potential move? Yes, but I would imagine that if we see a strong move right out of the gate, that there's still that momentum behind it, that it could end up continuing. So may not get the absolute bottom, or may not get the move on the reaction to earnings, but you could still make money on Nvidia if there is indeed some good news to come out of this report.
Yes. And so Michael brings it up in the chat right now. He said spreads are safest. Now with that, yeah, you could your theta and vega neutral, because there's going to be IV crush regardless on both sides, calls and puts tomorrow. So yeah, I guess if I were to take that play, let me pull up my chart here.
Sure.
If you wanted to roulette trade this, you got 7 minutes left. You can go long the let's say 490 put. You'd buy that put, you would sell the 485. Should be just shy of $250 for that spread. And that is a roulette trade. If it sells off, and I would probably just go for this Friday, because there's no need to give it all the time in the world. It would the max you could sell it for is $500. So you could, let's just say you split it right down the middle and pay $250 for it. The max you could gain is $250. You could lose $250. And all you need to be is directionally right. Just needs to be below 485.
Right.
Or you could even bump it up a little bit. Go buy the 500 put, sell the 495. That should put you right at the 250 mark. I guess that's probably, as far as safest, that's probably the least capital intensive you could probably go. I would rather do that than buy a $250 put, which is going to be what, the 300 strike, something ridiculous. Now I'm liking everybody's responses though. So everybody's saying, I'm pulling up my charts, so I like it matters. Pull up AMD, because this has been called in my group a lot.
You want me to pull it up, or are you going to pull it up?
Yeah, just in general. We called this the a shout out to Kabir, because he calls this the poverty Nvidia. So
Yeah.
if you're too poor, you play AMD, and it's likely going to move just because of that sector. But I don't know this time how much that's going to pan out, because it used to be like all the chips would really move together, but they're starting to break off into their own little factions or stories where it's not really moving as much.
Right.
Lord Fender says, I took 450 puts just now for a Don told me to play. Well, I still will buy 450 strike puts, so hopefully not.
Yeah, for real. Well, and that's the other thing, right? Too, like, is there any other stocks that would probably react to this after earnings? Like, are we looking at an Intel, for example, or any of the other semiconductors? What do you think?
Gosh, last year, yeah, I would have said yeah.
Yeah.
I think now we're moving towards who's involved in AI. Might sound silly, but like the Nvidia chips in Tesla, I would look for anything Nvidia's actually involved with more than I would the sector, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
absolutely. I mean, and I think honestly, you look at the Qs, guys. It's I don't think it's even necessarily AMD that has to be the play if you don't want to go after Nvidia. You can look at the Qs; they're going to instantly move on this news, whether it's up or down. So you can make a play on that too if that's something that you feel more comfortable doing.
Yeah, yeah. Nvidia has some weight to it, so it'll move things. Melanie says if it tanks, every stock will react.
It's kind of my point, right? Like I think I mean, obviously the S&P will move too, but the most volatile, index will be the Qs.
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely agree with that, Melanie.
Let's see. Burry has bought puts for a semi ETF. Not that has been on fire lately, or
Or at
ever.
all.
Yeah, or ever. Like, I would never actually. If it wasn't for the comments, I would never actually bring up Michael Burry.
I know.
Uh,
I can't believe people still talk about it.
yeah, the future of mankind rests on one stock's earnings. I mean, it's retail week. It's what I call holiday weeks. Like what it's hard to say like what banks are playing today
Yeah.
when like if they came in for one day this week, it's going to be today for Nvidia. But it will be interesting to see how, first of all, how we react this week, and then we come back to full volume.
Right.
Where is anything getting reset?
Speaking of the banks, they've actually had a pretty decent move as of recent. Banks, real estate, they've all kind of moved to the upside. Lots of people speculating that maybe we're seeing the top of the market. And, as we're getting into the close down, I'm kind of thinking that, we're seeing a little bit of that soft landing that we kind of weren't really all that uh, positive about, but it seems as if we're kind of seeing that. I don't know if there actually is going to be. I mean, I don't think we are seeing the top of the market right now. I think that we're could very well continue if we see some softening up in the later part of this year. I mean, we saw over the last 3 years. There's been a decent rally going into the end of the year. Um, I mean, I can pull up the S&P 500 if you'd like, or if you want to have at it. But just kind of want to get some thoughts on the technical side on what you think we could end up seeing going into the end of the year.
I've been buying calls for December. It was December for a little bit. Now it's just January. I do think we see a melt up into the end of the year. So I have been bullish on that for actually some time now. So overall bullish, but the last thing I would want is a red day shaking me out of my play, which is why like I'm either buying shares with plenty of wiggle room or I'm buying options contracts again, plenty of time because I don't want to have to manage it the next day if it's red.
Yeah.
I don't want anything getting me out. As far as the news goes, unemployment, CPI, all that. I mean, I know we're on both channels here, so that's a huge excuse for me.
Right.
Which hopefully it pans out. News to me is a little more secondary. Trying to keep the chat and
Oh, you're good. You're good. No, that's I just want to get your thoughts on it because from a technical perspective, because obviously you can see that we're coming up on the top that we saw back in 21. And so I think that this is definitely a pivotal moment in the markets because from a technical perspective, also from the fundamental side of things on the macro side of things, but definitely looks like a good spot for it to really pop off. And what better time of the year for it to happen than when, you have the biggest, shopping month of the year coming up on us.
Oh, that's right. People still think, yeah, you guys should buy Amazon because they sell stuff online too.
Right.
I completely forget people actually play the stock market because of that.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, every year. Well, yeah, hopefully the Santa Claus rally is a thing this year, which is
Yeah.
the last 5 days of the year. But since we're on YouTube, it starts typically in July. It's about when YouTubers start bringing up Santa again.
I've never started that in July, but yeah.
Gosh, it gets earlier every year.
It's
It was
crazy.
the last 5 days of the year, that's when the Santa rally's here, and
Right.
then it just gets sooner and sooner.
Well,
But
you can make the argument that like it starts in October. Honestly, when you go back last year, this is
mhm,
last year October 6th, and we had a huge rally going into, um, going in basically to July, right? Like we saw this all the way back here going into July, and we're actually seeing the same thing. So I'm not
yeah,
saying that we're going to see this rally go into July like we did last year, but some pretty significant similarities going into Q4 of the year over the
yeah,
last several years. Really, we go back to 2020, 21, and even last year. It kind of seems as if we see this rally not really start in December, but more so in like October.
yeah, there's the October red and seasonality kind of push up into the end.
Yep.
I will say to answer all the questions at once, because the recession talk that just it was supposed to be in 2023, now it's kicked down to 2024, and I was kind of on board if there's going to be a recession Q1 of 2024. That's kind of where if I think there's a gray area, I think it's going to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, so I mentioned this on your channel while you were live. That's why I went shorts. Apple was because they had lowered price on the laptops, MacBooks, which is nothing. A lot of people didn't catch on. It's something Apple's never done before. So I thought, okay, companies are just now seeing inflation. They are feeling it now. Like inflation has hit everybody, and now all of a sudden they're not buying. Credit cards have been maxed out. Like they're kind of just out of the money now. We went from stimulus checks to credit cards. Now we've racked up all the debts, and here we are. And so I think companies are feeling it now, which should reflect Q1 of next year when we see those earnings.
Yeah.
If we don't see it, then I would be done just kicking that can down the road. Like let's just cross that bridge when we get there. In the meantime, it's almost like people need to stop worrying about it. And last little bit, everyone's talking about the reverse stock market crash. And with everything going on, if the dollar does suck, where do you put your money? And it will be equities and stuff like that. So that ends up being a bullish case because you get everybody saying, where do you put your dollar? And our market is still the best, even if it's crappy. We have the shiniest crap out there, so it's still the least crappy. And if inflation's going to kill it, then you want to have your money somewhere. So you'll see a lot of money come in off the sidelines, and that can fuel just that grind up.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's what we're seeing now. And we just get a nice clean run. Although that's not going to be good for the real world, it'll be good for anybody that's actually in the markets.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, just looking to see if there's any sort of movement as far as earnings reports are concerned. Don't see anything just yet, but looking at Nvidia, it is starting to creep up in after hours, up a third of a percent. I think Nvidia usually waits about 20 minutes or so after the close before we see anything as far as numbers are concerned. I just want to check in on HP real quick too, since they are reporting no movement on that either. But pretty light day, other than just Nvidia. It's going to be kind of a light week overall. I was actually surprised that we saw, um, this the that Nvidia was going to be reporting earnings this week, just because it usually is such a
Yeah.
light week.
Yeah. I guess you can start jumping down rabbit holes on that as to why, but they're probably like, numbers are numbers.
Right.
Uh, Hang on. I just want to make one comment about Bezos. Cody says, and so for everybody curious, we're on my channel and on the chaos. Oh, sorry. So Don Fron show and on the chaos. We might make that simpler in the future. We'll leave that for a later video. But he says, I saw. So when you see like we're reading this mysterious chat and you're not seeing the comments,
Yeah.
our chat is combined. So we're just reading comments. We don't know which channel it's coming from. So
Right.
whichever one you're on, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. But I do see one. He says, I saw something saying Bezos is selling $1 billion worth of Amazon stock. Is that why it's red?
No idea. Is that a rumor or is that true?
I don't know. The guy wears a puffy vest, so you can't trust him.
That might be true. Let me see. So just searching on Seeking Alpha, which by the way, you can go sign up for, help support the channel that way down below in the description if you're watching on my channel. I don't see. Yeah, here we go. They may be aggressively selling shares today. Today, that's according to CNBC. Let's see here. Maybe selling as much as 8 million to 10 million shares, or potentially $1 billion worth of stock. That was according to David Faber, longtime correspondent with CNBC. Bezos sold about 1.67 million shares last week, and he owns 988 million shares. That is insane. So he's looking to sell 8 to 10. That's only about 10% of his stock, and that's $1 billion worth.
Yeah.
I
mean, sucks to suck, but
any ideas as to what he's funding? And feel free to put it in the chat too. I'd be curious what he's like.
He must have a mortgage payment due on his new house in Miami.
Yeah, just a casual bill. Just taking it out, no big deal. Yeah.
I mean, regardless, so it's not much of his shares outright. It's not like he's like has some insider, because I know some people are gonna freak, and that's gonna be some headlines. He's selling $1 billion worth. Like $1 billion is a lot to people like us. We've never made that. $1 billion to him, not that much. In I guess in terms of reference, there's a word I'm looking for there. But regardless, to spin that out, the stock, that's still $1 billion worth of sellers showing up, right? That's everybody showing up and clicking the sell button, or one person clicking the sell button. Regardless, the stock has to now come up with those funds, basically.
Look at that magic yellow box going to work.
Just another coincidence.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for anybody worried about those headlines, I wouldn't call it insider information or anything like that. Every time I see something like that, someone's always talking about that. Does he know something? Now, how many shares does he say he have?
He's got 998 million shares.
Okay. He goes out and sells 900 million shares.
Yeah.
Then I'd say something's up. He needs money for his rockets. That guy needs to stop.
He's got a $1 billion yacht. So, I mean, it's still kind of pocket change to him.
Yeah. What do you even do with money that much? Like, you already won. Like, just stop.
I don't know what you do with $1 billion yacht.
The part that annoys me is you have to hire a crew for that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I could buy the boat. I can understand that part.
Probably cost you a couple $100 million a year just to run that thing.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
Tax write-off.
I just don't know why. I don't know why I would do that. Why not just either rent a boat or just buy a boat that you can drive?
Yeah, just rent a cruise ship for a week.
Maybe it's for his next divorce.
Yeah,
getting ready.
Yeah, right. All right, checking back in with Nvidia just to see if there's any movement here. Nothing so far. Still waiting on those numbers to come in. So you got about 215 of you guys watching as of right now. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Would certainly appreciate it. We're still waiting for those numbers to come in. As soon as they do, of course, we'll be able to share them with you. If you guys aren't new, if you are new to the channel, welcome. I'd encourage you to check that like button and subscribe as well. We cover earnings here on Own the Chaos as often as we can. I'm trying to get more consistent with that, but we will get there. But really, kind of the only channel that covers them the way that we cover them here. So if you guys are interested in that, if you find this entertaining, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell as we go live just before earnings get released.
Let's keep up with these comments until we see some bright moves on Nvidia. I think we can probably keep up with the comments and BS around. We'll have to just cut that instantly short the second we see a crazy movement on Nvidia. But this is a good question. So I've seen Amazon now has some kind of healthcare. I haven't dove into it or anything, but it's like $9 a month. They have their own minute clinics. Also something about, and this is a comment right here. Snookeroo says, any thoughts on Amazon selling new cars?
We went through this rumor last year. Was it last year, a year before, when Apple was going into their EV, that huge thing? Everybody lost their mind on that.
Mm-hmm.
Would it make sense if Amazon went down this route? Yeah, only because they're, looking over the fence. But I don't think that there's
No,
I wouldn't buy it. I'm not buying an Amazon car. I'll just put it
I
that
want
way.
to say it's Hyundai. I want to say it's an actual manufacturer. I
That
meant
was with Apple though, wasn't it? Didn't Apple and Hyundai get together on the EV?
They thought about it. They were
Oh,
that more just got leaked. Apple was looking into it.
gotcha.
I can't share the link, but yeah, you can buy a new Hyundai right now. That's interesting. Oh, and for everyone that doesn't know how to pronounce it, it's not Hyundai. It's not Hyundai. They literally had a TV commercial about it. They said it's Hyundai, like Sunday with an H. It's not just me making it up. That's from the company's mouth themselves. Please stop calling it anything other than Hyundai. Like I forget. There's another YouTube that comes on, and I forget who it is. Must be. I think it's Stephen Mark Ryan. Because anyway, mine will autoplay, and like anytime I hear him say that, like I want to open the door and fall out of my car while going down the highway. Like I can't stand when people call it that.
Yeah. MJ really butchered it. Hydia.
Hang on. So my immediate question was, if I use my Prime credit card to buy the car, do I get the rewards on Amazon? That would be a lot of rewards.
Hell yeah.
Well, you can't buy a credit card. You can't buy a car legally with a credit card. That's a law. But I mean, I guess maybe if that law changes, I guess you get a ton of rewards.
So how does that work with Carvana?
I guess if you want to buy a used car, go to Carvana. If you want a new car, go to Amazon.
Well, but I'm saying like with Carvana, because they, you don't really even go to a dealership. You're buying a car out of a vending machine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you just wire the money? I'm assuming.
They have a way of getting their money. Yeah, I mean it'll just be still all online. I don't think there's any difference at all.
But that's what I was saying. You said it was not legal to buy with a credit card, so I'm guessing like it would be with like a ACH or something.
Yeah, or a loan process. All of it's still online. I mean, when you go to the car dealership, you just have the little ogre there typing in your numbers.
Right.
Sure, it's all the car dealers that are in here. Which I think I hate car dealers now. Maybe not the ones in this chat, but for how many cars I bought in the last few years now, I guess I can't stand the whole retail is this much, but you're going to pay this much thing. And I'm kind of glad they're going away.
You're glad the dealerships are going away?
Yeah. F them. Like, I actually can't stand them. I hope you made all your money. Hope it was enough to retire on. And
because of the markups? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It's absolutely annoying.
Yeah. The markups are crazy.
Yeah. Like, I shouldn't be spending 6 figures on a car that doesn't start with McLaren. Okay. Like, something like that. Like a couple cars, like even the Bronco I have now started out over $100,000. Like, get that crap out of here. Like,
Your Bronco started at over $100,000.
Yeah, they were going for over $100,000. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, supply and demand. Like, good. I'm gonna say that when they're looking for a job.
That's crazy.
Dealerships are not going. He must be a dealer. They are actually. I bet you this as strong as I bet AMC will go down, which usually gets me about a bunch of and if you are a dealership, I don't actually hate you. This is nothing personal at all. But I would really have a backup plan. Because even so, it was illegal. So you had to have a dealership, and that was supposed to protect the public from the car manufacturers. So there were laws put in place. So there has to be a dealership, have that third party intermediate there. Now Tesla already fought that and got around it, and that was one of Tesla's biggest headwinds, I guess, coming into it. And now Ford has done the same thing. So now Ford's the next one to not have dealerships anymore. So there will be showrooms, not dealerships anymore. And they make no mistakes about it. I'll bet you my whole account they're going away. You will be a showroom representative making hourly. You won't. Yeah. There won't be a commission structure like everybody's used to. You'll be there to help them service their car, and that's it.
Yeah, and Tesla, of course, pioneered that. But it's true, like when you go to buy a Tesla, you're not buying the markup on the Tesla. You buy it for whatever the sticker price is on the website, and that's it. And that's how it should be. Like it's just crazy that there's still dealerships out there that think that marking their cars up is a long-term solution. And it's just, I know that's the way you guys might have always done it, but times are changing. That's for sure.
Yeah, there it says, do showroom reps still make commission?
That's what they live off of.
Oh yeah, right now, yeah, normal. Unless you go to like CarFest, there's already a bunch of car dealerships saying a no haggle price, we don't make commission kind of thing. So that already exists, but I don't know how you would have a showroom and still make commission, because so if you go like to buy a Tesla, you will go in there, you go into what you think is a dealership, and you order your car online, and that's that. So how do you structure that? Because usually a commit, because I worked at a dealership for a little bit, also why I can't stand some of them, because I know some of the tricks they used to pull, and that fires me up.
Especially when it comes to that month end, man. They're not making the quota by the end of the month. People, sales guys, they lose their minds. But it's like
that deal, yeah.
A lot of them, that's the only way they're making money is if it's off of commission. They're not making some sort of base salary on top, of whatever the commission is. That it's either you sell a car or you don't make any money.
Yeah, most of them you have what's called, there's a word for it. Everyone calls it. You make like $200 a vehicle. And then after that, like a lot of commission structures are like $200 for every 1,000. So if the car costs the dealership 4,000, say it's a used car on a trade-in, costs them 4,000, and you sell it for $5,000, that would be a $400 commission to you.
Yeah,
Chad, I know you're a dealer. What's the word? It's not freebie. Anyway, there's a word for it when you're selling below cost or at cost. You're gonna make the $200 just to write the paperwork.
Yep.
And that's it. Where I work, there is no commission. Complete internet store.
Lisa said we paid $4,000 over list for a new RAV4 last year, and that's just on a RAV4. Like if it's a specialty vehicle, okay, fine, whatever. But like, that's crazy for just essentially a soccer mom car. No offense, Lisa. That's call it what it is. That's insane.
Yeah. They're not out here it's not, again, like you said, specialty car. It's not
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Things are getting ridiculous. And so after all that, that's where I just developed just this hate for everybody. I can understand, like, you sell the car. If you don't have it in stock, we'll put your name on a list. It's the public's problem too, because we all should have said we're not paying $100,000 for that car. Chill out. Yeah, you let me know when it's available. And it used to be like the dealership sticker was like, like that was the highest. Dom says, I've seen quite a few Rivian pickups in my area. I think that's your next buy.
I've seen a lot too in my area.
Chocolate says, don't even get me started. When I was going to get a car, they used a car price was $500 cheaper for the used car price was $500 cheaper for a new one.
I've heard a lot of stories like that too, which is also mind blowing.
Yeah. And Chad says a lot of bad things happened during COVID. Yeah. And though that's one thing I shouted out Ford for, because Ford and GM both said, you guys need to stop doing this because it's hurting our name. And basically the dealers fired back and said, we've never made this much in our lives. Of course we're going to continue. And so Ford was like, we're going to start. I followed more on the Ford end, but they were going to start fining dealerships for that. I was like, burn them down. Like, I can't stand it. They took advantage of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, they're not the only ones, I mean, I know that we're picking on dealerships right now, but like a lot of businesses out there took advantage of it too. I mean, that's why we had this supply demand issue. And here we have now Nvidia is moving right now. It's up around 1.25% and still climbing here.
My bet was, chat, let me know. What did I say today? Did I say $30 or $40? At first I was thinking it was going to be a 10% move, about $50 moves, but I think I said $30 in my chat today. So hopefully I'm right. $30 down, 470. Almost moved your chart.
That'd have been hilarious.
I just want to be right. Burn it. The chat did ask me Nvidia to 400 or 600 first, and I did say 600. Okay, so I said a $40 move. Okay, $40 move. Make it
All
happen.
right. So looks like Nvidia came in at $18.12 billion in revenue. That is absolutely insane. The estimate was 16.09, so over $2 billion above what was expected. They see, Q3 adjusted earnings per share $4.02. The estimate was 336, so another just absolute smash on those expectations. Data center revenue was at 14.51. Estimate was at 12.82, which is interesting because we saw I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Microsoft earnings data center revenue was missed expectations. Well, not down, but just missed expectations. So correct me if I'm wrong on that, guys, for those of you watching, but still massive beat on data center revenue. Nvidia gaming revenue 2.86 to 2.7, which is also impressive considering that we saw gaming actually slow down considerably. So beat on those two. Nvidia Q3 adjusted gross margin is 75%. The estimate was at 72.5. So gross margins are still up. 75% is mind blowing.
Can you zoom out a little bit? Look where it bounced.
Yeah, let me see here.
You're using my charts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's still continuing to drop here.
No, it bounced right. So
sorry, it did bounce. Sorry.
Well, how annoying. So I'm switching to white lines now. So that's a full blown that's a yellow zone that I just haven't shaded in yet.
Right here. This is a yellow
zone
here.
Yeah. So just bounced right out of that. I was just about to make a comment to Lord Finner. I think the market knew. I was about to be like, yeah, I'll take a commission on those puts you bought.
Yeah, trying to see the reason for the sell-off here. I imagine it's probably guidance related, but I'll wait to confirm that with you guys. But I mean, they absolutely smashed earnings that we're reporting on by not a little, a lot. So again, $18.12 billion versus the $16.09 billion that was expected on revenue alone. And it came out, I believe it was $4.30 on earnings per share. So let me just double check that. Sorry, $4.02 versus the 336 that was expected. So just smashed earnings. Absolutely smashed them. As more numbers come in, feel free to share them. But initial thoughts on this, Don?
As long as it stays above 470, I make money. I make a lot of money, actually. Yeah,
and just remind everybody the trade you took on this one.
So I sold naked puts the 470 and 450 for December. So I just need to be above that. So right now, hopefully with Vega Crush, they'll still be up in the morning, even with a red reaction. That's a bullish play. If you sell the put to open, that is a bullish play. But also, if it closes below that, for every contract I sold, I will own 100 shares at those price points. But like Josh says, this is a shakeout. It's going to be green. That's kind of why I sold puts, because I just don't care if I buy them at that price. It certainly would suck if it just melted on down to $400, because now my average is going to suck.
Yeah, just looking at some other stuff here. As I'd mentioned, GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 74 and 75.5%. That's just crazy ass number. And it's just crazy that they continue to get away with that. That's wild. Revenue is expected to be 20 billion plus or minus 2% versus 17.82 on the consensus for the for next quarter, for the current quarter that we're in, rather. And record revenue for data centers. 41% from that's up 41% just from Q2 and up 279% from a year ago.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
And just like we talked, well, like what I said, Intel and AMD barely moving off this. I think, again, like they're starting to break away on their own. AMD did drop. It finished the way up. It dropped down to it, if you want to pull that up real quick.
Yeah.
AMD for the chips move out. Intel, I don't think they're saying didn't really move. AMD dropped down to that zone, bounced as well. Cody says, act like he only sold one of each.
No movement on Intel either. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, they're starting to split away into their own attitudes. I guess if you had triplets, as if you had triplets, right? You identify as a woman that can have babies, or we're not gonna get into that conversation. But you had
Jesus.
Intel, AMD, and Nvidia. They're starting to get their own attitudes now. They're starting to do their own thing. So I don't think AMD is going to be one of the last ones, but they're not moving off each other anymore.
Yeah, they're definitely disconnected from each other for sure, which is
Yeah,
not what we've seen in the past.
but everything's moving together on now. AI. AI is moving like its own. And I'm sure my chat's getting annoyed with AI, but AI is going to move a lot of things, and I think anything AI. I'm this is probably a little too soon to talk about publicly on YouTube, but I'm working on something inside my chat. They know what we're talking about. But there's going to be an AI multiplier when it comes to stocks. Are they using AI to be more efficient, or are they trying to build AI, and that's what's going to affect things? And we're seeing a lot of names in that, almost in its own sector, move by itself.
Yeah, there's been. It's funny. I think we had this conversation maybe back in March or April about there being like some sort of AI bubble that's about to burst back then. And I specifically remember saying that like we're just getting started. We're just scratching the surface on AI. There is no such thing as a bubble right now. That like if there is one, it is very very small and not anywhere close to the bursting as things continue to develop. I mean, and it's at a very fast pace, of course, but it is still very much in the early stages. And so I'm not saying that there can't be a bubble, but we're just not in that yet. And I think that there's a lot more room for this to go. This bubble, so to speak, it can get a lot bigger before there's any sort of talk of it bursting.
Yeah, we are a balloon fresh out of the package. If
Yeah,
that's what it is.
correct.
Uh, yeah, I saw. I just wanted. I know it's not Nvidia related, but I want to shout out. There was a Corvette comment. He says, I agreed. Everyone got greedy, which is why the Z06 started at 109K when it was supposed to be 95K MSRP. That's adorable. Because I bought two C8s. Neither one of them were 109,000, and they were not the Z06s.
Yeah.
The cheapest one, the cheaper one I bought was 116. I can't stand the markup on stupidity.
And there goes Nvidia back in the green after a pretty decent sell-off, kind of as we expected.
We got to shout out Josh. Josh, it might be too soon. So listen, I've done this a lot. I've talked a lot of crap online. Okay. The second you start saying that, it's going to turn around. He says, where's my clout points for calling this rebound? He says it's going to be green. Listen, I'm telling you, if it doesn't break that red wick up, might not go anywhere. So you need to break that first. Take it from a master person who talks a lot of crap online. The second you start doing that, look, it's already coming down.
Yeah, so it's interesting to actually see it initially sell off because there's nothing bad about this. I'm looking through the entire report now. I'm not seeing anything that would, give me pause or anything. The guidance here is absolutely incredible. This according to Nvidia. They say looking ahead, Nvidia expects fourth quarter revenue to be between 20 billion plus or minus 2%. As I'd mentioned earlier, the expectation there was 17.9. So a 20% beat on guidance alone for revenue. They said they do expect sales in China to decline significantly, citing recent report curve controls from the Biden administration. I'm not quite sure if I'm up to speed on that, so I'd have to look to see what that's all about. But maybe that's what's giving some people some pause. But everything else about this is so even including the slowdown in China, they're still projecting a 20% beat on guidance expectations, which is still absolutely insane. For the third quarter, they earned $4.02, as I'd mentioned, $18.12 billion in revenue. The expectation there was somewhere around 16.09. Analysts expected the Santa Clara, California-based company to post earnings per share 339 on revenues of 16.09, as I'd mentioned, billion. And those adjusted gross margin numbers are absolutely wild at 75% too. So just some really good numbers out of Nvidia. I just don't see how you can hate on this stock or this report for that matter.
You know who's losing their minds right now?
Jim Cramer.
No, what is he? What is he write all of a sudden?
Well, on Nvidia, yes, that's kind of like the only one that he is right on. He's got a second dog that he's named Nvidia, and the guy is just
nice.
that is his. He had a dog that was named Nvidia, passed away, got a new dog, also named that Nvidia. That's how crazy that guy is about this stuff. But so yes, he's actually right about Nvidia. Has been for a long time.
Anyone who bought calls or puts is probably freaking out right now. In Nvidia, you had to pay to play. The premiums on this were jacked through the roof, which is why I sold puts to begin with. And right now, Nvidia is what, $4 off? Like where's it at from the close to now? Nothing.
Right.
On earnings day, you delete this wick. You got bad cell service. You're just looking at the current price. Well, what did Nvidia close at? I gotta put. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not hilarious if you're in the position. All right, so Nvidia what closed at
$499.44.
We're at $4.95. Your $500 ticker had earnings, and it moved just shy of $4.
You know, I gotta wonder too, Don, and we talked about this at the top of the show about it being a slow week. You gotta wonder if this wasn't Thanksgiving weekend, what it would look like right now.
There's nobody that's in Nvidia that's not paying attention to it right now. I mean, when there is earnings, it's all hands on deck. You know, they're not like I'm not invested in Nvidia and thinking I'll check it out after. I'm going to enjoy my vacation right now.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, I would still think that there would be some sort of movement. And I'm the only reason I'm saying that too is just from a personal standpoint. Right now on my channel, I have 111 concurrent viewers. Nvidia Day, it's usually 400, 400 to 500. So like, I almost wonder if like there is some sort of explanation on that side of things as to why we're seeing, because the volume here doesn't seem like it's that much either.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with lower volume, you can push your stock around a lot easier. So with lower volume, that's why I say don't trust a low volume move for a lot of momentum traders. You know, should be easier to you think we would be seeing a lot more movement.
Yeah.
But we're not going to move anywhere unless people start hitting that thumbs up button. I'm about a 50% like ratio right now. So how many people hit that thumbs up button for us right now? I'm not asking anymore. You need to hit thumbs up, start commenting. I like to have 100% like ratio. And if we're not there yet, I'm going to start making Chad mad.
Right.
Wait, Chad is a dealer. I called it. But I missed this comment. I was gonna say I didn't mean to just cold turkey that thing. He says he's not making commission on it, so it's not you that I hate. Cody does. Yeah, he says get your keyboard working. Let's go. But if I ever forewarning, if I ever do talk about your profession, I'm not talking about you. I said something about weatherman a long time ago, and I had a weatherman reach out to me, and I felt horrible after that. I was like, oh man, I got to be careful. Because I was just saying, you know, like how often is a weatherman, right? We spend a lot of money on our tools and our tech. And I was like, oh, he took it to heart. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm making fun of somebody out here.
I mean, I feel like those guys have to just laugh it off though. I mean, everybody says that. It's not just you. Everybody says the weathermen are never right. And I've used that analogy all the time when it comes to analysts. So I'm just waiting for the next analyst to call me out because, you know, I told them that they're never right.
I like joking until I hurt somebody's feelings. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. So I talk crap to my friends. If my friend was a weatherman, I'd make fun of him every day.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the intent, right? Like, you know, listen, it was a joke, so just take it as a joke. All right, like
yeah,
get out of your feelings.
Anyways, I was going hard on him that day though.
Guys, I think that's gonna do it for the show. We got some people that have started to drop off, so I think that's gonna be our cue. Look, Nvidia had an amazing earnings quarter, and it looks as if they're already having an amazing current quarter, and guidance is absolutely through the roof. I wouldn't be worried about Nvidia at all here. And in fact, I probably would start to continue to buy this up if that's something that you're looking to do, because I don't see how it's going to be selling off for that matter. The China news, sure. You know, that's a short-term thing. I think if there's any sort of opportunity here, I would be taking advantage of it to go to the long side on Nvidia. But man, what an incredible earnings for them. despite the move from the stock itself. But guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it on your way out the door. Don, any last words for folks?
Gosh, that's a good question. I don't know. Be careful. Have a safe weekend. Oh, and yeah, as far as Friday, for anybody that thinks the stock market's actually open on Friday, it's a half day.
Yeah,
I would. That's just not a day I would be chasing anything or really worried about it. I would be mindful of your weekend swings, because sometimes on these retail weeks, things can kind of move or just with no opposing force really get to a price, and then on Monday we get that correction, be it a gap up or a gap down. So be careful, because when the volume comes in, there might be a correction. So just be mindful of your weekend swings on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one. See ya.
Have a good one.